Good day to you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen all. I wish to start with a simple truth, and that is humanity's future can always be better than its past. This is perhaps the greatest gift that life offers us and humanity's greatest power, that despite all that has preceded this moment in time, our future is ultimately determined by the actions and the choices that we take now. It is with that message of hope and that call to act now that I greet you at this inaugural Black Impact Summit hosted by the Black Impact Foundation. Let me thank the Foundation Chairman, Mr. Clarence Seedorf, for extending the invitation for me to contribute to this laudable global initiative dedicated to inspiring, empowering, connecting and building collaboration amongst people of African descent. There's a certain irony in the fact that the value of the African continent and its people to the rest of the world and our contribution to global development has never been in question. Yet history has not been kind to the people of Africa and the African diaspora. There are no words to capture the full extent of the trauma and the depth of the injury inflicted on black people of the world as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and the resultant imperialism and colonialism that followed. We exist in a world still very much influenced and structured, regrettably, by that systemic racism, a crisis of its own category, and one which is compounded for countless black people globally who lack basic access to healthcare and medicines, who endure some of the worst effects of the global climate crisis, and whose countries often on the outside looking in as it relates to accessing global finance to address very real vulnerabilities. That is all on top of the fact that many are without access to basic electricity. But we must recognize that resilience in the face of adversity is no newfound trait for a people who have and continue to stare so many existential threats in their face. We can look to the example of so many, including those of you gathered for this summit, who thrive and excel in your respective fields in spite of the countless challenges. Equally, we must recognize that while distance and geographical boundaries and in some instances language may separate us, it is our shared history, our culture, our heritage and experiences, our dedication to and amongst each other, and our commitment to fairness, justice, and equality that render our bond unshakable. Division by design has long been at the root of our separation, and therefore the solutions we seek to reconnect, empower, and enfranchise people of African descent must be found in our solidarity and intentional collaboration. It is a familiar lesson, one which the entire world was confronted with in the wake of the devastating impact of COVID-19 global pandemic. The lesson that until we accept that global problems require globally coordinated responses grounded in strong global moral leadership, we will be victims of change rather than leaders of transformation. So the message, my friends, that I wish to bring today is that of connection and collaboration. That, my friends, is at the core of creating the future we want, not for ourselves alone, but for all of humanity. The lingering effects of the trauma and the unjust social order of the past still hold too many of our brothers and sisters in the vice grip. And while I contend that the dismantling and reconstruction of a centuries-old oppressive system is not the singular burden of black people to champion, it is, however, critical that we define our growth, our development, and our success in our own interests and in our own image. For people of African descent, such an exercise in identity and self-determination is inextricably linked to our expressions of culture and heritage. It is at the center of that creative space and expression that so many of us have been able to discover our authentic selves and to recognize it, yes, in others. Culture and heritage have long been our pillars of strength historically, and that remains the case even today. This is the foundation on which the mission of the Black Impact Foundation has been built, and certainly the nexus from which the ecosystem of understanding, collaboration, empowerment, and enfranchisement for black people across the globe will emerge. As a leader of a small island developing state, I'm well placed to tell you how important it is to make the right choice on where to invest very limited time and resources for maximum impact. The return on investment must be clear, because there's simply little room to be wasteful or unstrategic. Barbados has and continues to be a country that invests heavily in its people, ensuring universal access to quality subsidized education, healthcare, housing, transportation, and a suite of national insurance, social care services, and of course, the opportunities presented by sports. Sports was perhaps the first space that Barbadians showed each other and ultimately the world our capacity to achieve excellence. And while football is now probably the most popular local sport, it was in the sport of cricket that legendary players like Weeks and Worrell and Walcott and Marshall and Garner, Hall, Griffith, Haynes, Greenwich, and of course, the greatest of all time, the incomparable Right Excellent Sir Garfield Sobers, set out the playbook on how to become global citizens with Barbadian roots. I know it will bring a smile to Clarence's face to know that my country's investment in sports has always been for more than simple promotion of recreation, but indeed to build social value across Barbados. It has long been my view that via sports and games, whether cricket, football, or any other practice, that we can expose our children to the practicalities of discipline, where they learn that they're as good or better than their seniors, but equally that they have to win or lose with respect, and they still have to respect their seniors even when they beat their seniors in a game. Sports has been a principal instrument through which children are exposed to the principles of conflict resolution, constructive and instructive dialogue, where they develop the mental tools and the learned ability to overcome prejudice or discrimination or cultural differences and intolerance or simple unfairness. A true space of connection and collaboration. The Black Impact Summit's purpose to build connections and collaboration amongst people of African descent is perhaps the most important focus that the global African diaspora could adopt at the critical juncture in our history. A purpose which leverages our culture, our heritage, and our creative expressions to authentically reflect our individual and collective experience. A purpose that is grounded in reclaiming that Atlantic destiny of the people of Africa and the African diaspora. And certainly a purpose that leads us towards the ability to unlock our fullest potential and capital towards our collective benefit. My friends, I cannot repeat enough how important it is for our generation to understand our moral duty to our children and to the generations yet to come, to ensure that our decisions and actions do not reproduce the terrible inequalities of the past. I am reassured by initiatives like the Black Impact Summit that this message is being taken to heart and that there remains an unwavering commitment to secure that brighter future for humanity through the choices, yes, and the actions that we take today. God bless you all, and I wish you all a very, very reflective but purposeful meeting. Thank you.